cameras were rolling alive aback. TomHanks' face changed. His articulation trembled and he said, "Jimmy, amuse about face the cameras off." They didn't about face off. And what happened to budding became television history. It was a Tuesday night taping of The Tonight Show. Standard setup. Tom Hanks was announcing his latest film, sitting in the bedfellow armchair with that accustomed amore that had fabricated him America's best admired amateur for 4 decades. Jimmy Fallon was accomplishing what he did best. Bedlam genuinely, allurement questions that acquainted like chat rather than interview. There were 12 account into the segment. Aggregate was activity perfectly. Tom had aloof accomplished a funny adventure about a blow on set. The admirers was laughing. Jimmy was grinning. The bandage was arena ablaze riff. This was backward night television at its smoothest. A fresh Jimmy asked a simple question. "So Tom, your kid's charge be appreciative of this one, right?" Tom's smile didn't acclimatize immediately. It took about 2 seconds, but Jimmy saw it. The way Tom's eyes shifted, the slight abbreviating about his mouth, the way his easily abashed from airy gesturing to arresting the armrests. "Yeah," Tom said, his articulation hardly altered now. "Yeah, they are. Jimmy, account the allowance like the able he was kept it light. I bet your son Colin watched the premiere, didn't he?" "That's a back it happened." Tom's face went still. His jaw tightened. He looked bottomward at his hands, a fresh aback up at Jimmy. An article in his announcement fabricated the absolute flat authority its breath. "Jimmy," Tom said quietly, Can we about face the cameras off for a second?" Tom Hanks had been on 1,000 allocution shows. He never asked this before. Jimmy's smile froze. Not the TV host's smile, but his absolute smile underneath. His eyes darted to the cameras to his producers in the wings. Aback to Tom. The audience analysis article had shifted, went from amusement to abashed blackout in seconds. "I'm sorry," Jimmy said affairs time, his duke aimlessly effective against the dejected cards on his desk, alike admitting he wouldn't acquisition answers there. "The cameras," Tom repeated. And now there was no mistaking it. His articulation was shaking. "Could we aloof I charge to acquaint you something, but I charged the cameras off." The flat was massive, but in that moment, it acquainted like the aboriginal allowance in the world. 300 admirers associates aptitude forward. The Roots Arctic midnote. Camera operators attractive at anniversary other. A fresh at the ascendancy room. A fresh aback at the interview. Cat and mouse for addition to acquaint them what to do. Jimmy fabricated a burning accommodation that would ascertain the abutting 20 minutes. "Tom," he said gently, ambience bottomward his cards completely. "Whatever you charge to say, you can say it. But I anticipate maybe bodies should apprehend it. Is that okay?" Tom looked at him for a connected moment. His eyes were ablaze now, angry article back. The admirers was so quiet you could apprehend the flat lights humming. "You sure?" Tom asked. "I'm sure. We're here. We're listening." Tom nodded slowly. He took a breath, afresh another. Afresh he started talking, and what he said wasn't in any pre-in notes. "My son Colin alleged me 3 canicule ago." Tom began, his articulation steady, but thin like ice. "You're not abiding will authority your weight. We haven't announced in 8 months. Not because we fought. Not because of some big affecting thing. We aloof drifted. You apperceive how that happens." Jimmy nodded. He didn't interrupt. "He's 32 now. Lives in New York. Has his own life, his own career. And I'm appreciative of him. I am. But about in the aftermost few years, we chock full actuality close. We chock full calling unless it was a altogether or a holiday. We chock full accepting absolute conversations." The admirers was absolutely motionless. This wasn't what they'd appeared to see. This wasn't the Tom Hanks they knew, the charming, funny, consistently put calm cine star. This was article else. 3 canicule ago, Tom continued. "Colin alleged me, and I about didn't acknowledgement, because I was busy, because I had affairs, because his articulation cracked. He stopped, calm himself, because I've been authoritative that best for years, actuality too active for a buzz call." What Jimmy didn't apperceive was that Colin Hanks was sitting in row 8 of the flat audience. Tom kept talking, but I answered and he said, "Dad, I'm accepting married. And I should accept been happy. I should accept said, congratulations immediately. But you apperceive what I said?" I said, "When?" Like I was blockage my calendar, like his bells was an arrangement I bear to agenda around. Jimmy's announcement had abashed from affair to article deeper. Recognition, maybe understanding, and Colin Tom had to stop again. He apprenticed his fingers to his eyes, took a breath. Colin said, I don't apperceive a back yet, Dad. I aloof capital you to be one of the aboriginal to know. I capital to acquaint you myself, not accept you apprehend it from addition else. The flat lights acquainted too bright. The blackout acquainted too heavy. No one moved. And afresh he said article that Tom's articulation bankrupt absolutely now. He said, I apperceive you're busy. I apperceive your activity is complicated. But I'm your son and I absence you, and I capital you to apperceive afore I told anyone abroad, because you're still the aboriginal actuality I appetite to allotment acceptable account with. Alike if we haven't talked in months. A complete came from the audience. A bendable asphyxiate sob. Afresh another. Jimmy's eyes were red now, too, admitting he hadn't said a word. Tom looked bottomward at his hands. I told him I admired him. I told him I was sorry. I told him I'd be there for everything. The planning, the assurance party, the wedding, all of it. And he said, I know, Dad. I apperceive you will. He looked back up at Jimmy. And the affair is, he believed it. Alike admitting I've been absent, alike admitting I've alleged assignment over him added times than I can count, he still believes I'll appearance up. And I accomplished sitting on that alarm that I didn't deserve that faith. But I was activity to acquire it back. The cameras captured every second. The producers in the ascendancy allowance were crying. This wasn't television anymore. It was article else. Jimmy assuredly spoke. His articulation was soft, careful. Tom, why are you coging us this now? Tom smiled slightly, but it was sad about the edges. Because I came actuality tonight to advance a movie. And that's fine. That's my job. But sitting actuality talking about my work, it acquainted alveolate because the best important affair accident in my activity appropriate now isn't a blur premiere. It's my son accepting married. And I've spent so abounding years actuality Tom Hanks sine brilliant that I forgot how to aloof be Tom Hanks Colin's dad. He angry to attending anon at the audience. I capital to say it out loud. I capital bodies to apprehend it, because maybe there's a dishon out there who has a son or a babe or a ancestor they haven't alleged in too long. Maybe there's a dishon who's been too busy, who's been drifting, who's been putting off that conversation. His articulation got stronger now, clearer. Don't wait. Don't accept you'll accept time later. Don't let 8 months about face into 8 years. Alarm them tonight afterwards this show. Afore you go to bed, aloof alarm them. The admirers started clapping. Not the aflame acclaim of entertainment, but articles slower, deeper. Bodies were standing. Some were above board crying. Jimmy stood up from abaft his board and absolved over to Tom, affairs him into an embrace. And a fresh article happened that no one had planned. A man stood up in the 8th row of the audience. 32 years old, amber hair, his father's eyes. He was crying. Dad, Colin Hanks alleged out, his articulation breaking over the applause. Tom angry against the sound. His eyes went wide. His duke flew to his mouth. Colin, he said, disbelieving. You're what are you? This was the moment no one in the flat saw coming. Colin Hanks had been there the absolute time. Colin was already moving. Authoritative his way accomplished the added admirers' associates against the aisle. Tom stepped abroad from Jimmy, effective against the bend of the stage. Jimmy stepped back, giving them space, tears alive above board bottomward his face. Now, ancestor and son met at the bend of the stage. Tom accomplished down. Colin accomplished up, and they effective anniversary others' hands. I capital to abruptness you, Colin said, his articulation thick. I capital to see your interview, but I didn't expect. I didn't apperceive you were activity to. I'm sorry, Tom said. I'm so apologetic I haven't been there. I'm so apologetic for all the times I dad stop. Colin climbed up assimilate the date, and they captivated anniversary added while 300 strangers and millions of admirers watched a ancestor and son acquisition their way back to anniversary other. Jimmy stood off to the side, not interfering, absolution this moment exist. The roots played nothing. The cameras kept rolling. This wasn't entertainment. This was activity accident in advance of cameras that had been asked to about face off but hadn't. Afterwards what acquainted like always and no time at all, Tom and Colin afar slightly. Tom kept one duke on his sons except like he was abashed if he let go. This moment would disappear. Tom angry to Jimmy. This is why I capital the cameras off. I knew he was activity to be here. The producers told me afore the appearance, and I anticipation I'd accumulate it together. I anticipation I could do the account and see him afterwards and it would be fine, but aback you asked about my kids. I aloof I couldn't pretend anymore. Jimmy wiped his eyes. I'm animated you didn't. Tom looked out at the audience. I've been acting my accomplished life. Arena characters, cogent stories, assuming to be bodies I'm not, and it's an acceptable job. I adulation it. But tonight, I didn't appetite to act. I capital to be real. I capital my son to see me actuality real. Colin nodded, clumsy to speak. Tom angry aback to the cameras. The cameras he'd asked to about face off. The cameras that had captured everything. If you're watching this and you accept edition you charge to call, alarm them. Don't delay for an allocution show. Don't delay for an absolute moment. The absolute moment is appropriate now. Colin pulled article from his anorak pocket. An envelope. Old bulge like it had been agitated about for years. Dad, Colin said, do you bethink autograph me belle lettres to back you were filming Castaway? Tom's face shifted. Recognition. You were 8. I was gone for 4 months in Fiji. You beatific me a letter every week. 23 belle lettres total. Colin captivated up the envelope. This is Cardinal 17. You appetite to apperceive what it says? Tom befuddled his arch slightly, not because he didn't appetite to know, but because he couldn't assurance his voice. Colin opened it carefully, abundant the beat paper. His easily were shaking. You wrote Colin. I apperceive I'm far away. I apperceive assignment takes me places area I can't accompany you. But every distinct day aback they ball cut. The aboriginal affair I anticipate about is advancing home to you. You are the acumen I assignment hard. You are the acumen every role matters. Because I appetite to accomplish you proud. I appetite you to see what your dad does and anticipate that's my hero. I adulation you added than any ocean amid us, Dad. The blackout in the flat was complete. Tom's face crumpled. He accomplished for his son. And this time aback they embraced. It wasn't acting or uncertain. It was the affectionate of hug that tries to accomplish up. For absent time from absence, but calls for 8 months of distance. Jimmy stood watching, one duke over his mouth, the added arresting the bend of his board for support. Quest adulation had his arch in his hands. The admirers wasn't aloof errant now. They were witnessing article sacred. Aback Tom and Colin assuredly separated. Tom angry to Jimmy with red eyes and an 18-carat smile. I assumption I'm not actual acceptable at access off the cameras afterwards all, he said. The admirers laughed through their tears. The astriction bankrupt slightly, aloof abundant to breathe. Jimmy absolved over and put one duke on Tom's shoulder, one on Colin's. Tom, you aloof gave anybody watching article added admired than any movie. You gave them permission to be imperfect, to accept a back they've drifted. To appear back, Tom nodded. That's all any of us can do. Appear back. Accumulate advancing back. Colin bankrupt the letter fully and handed it to his father. Accumulate this one, Dad, for a back you charge to remember. Tom took it, apprenticed it to his chest over his heart. I won't charge it to remember, but I'll accumulate it anyway. If this adventure abashed you, subscribe and allotment it, because belief like this deserved to be heard. The appearance didn't abide with its appointed segments that night. Jimmy brought out chairs and Tom and Colin sat with him for edition 20 account aloof, talking about ancestors, about absolution, about the baby distances that become canyons if you don't pay attention. The producer's capital to cut to bartering 6 times. They didn't. The arrangement capital to wrap. They didn't because some moments amount added than schedules. 3 months later, TomHanks absolved his son bottomward the alley at Colin's wedding. In his anorak pocket, he agitated letter Cardinal 17. During his ancestor of the groom's speech, he apprehended aloud to 200 guests. I wrote this 24 years ago, Tom said. And I forgot I wrote it. But my son remembered. He kept every distinct letter. And aback I forgot who I capital to be as a father, he reminded me. The cameras weren't rolling that day. But the moment was no beneath real. Aback at the Tonight Show, Jimmy Fallon kept that adventure in an appropriate place. It's the one he shows to new producers, new hosts, anyone who asks him what backward night television can be at its best. Sometimes Jimmy says the cameras should about face off, but sometimes actual rarely, befitting them on is the bravest affair you can do. Tom knew that, and he let us all see what it looks like a back edition chooses to be real. The letter is now affected in Colin Hanks' home office. Above it, a photo from that Tonight appearance taping, ancestor and son on stage, captivation anniversary added while the Apple watched them acquisition their way back. Tom was right. The cameras should accept angry off, but everyone's beholden they didn't.